What's happening, everybody? Welcome to the latest edition of the Fantasy Film Projector. I believe we're on our third one. We already covered Jeremy McNichols of Boise State and Christian McCaffrey of Stanford. Here we're going to look at Samaje Perine, I believe that's how you say it, Samaje Perine. I've heard it called a couple other names, but I'm just going to go with that for now. Anyway, the main reason I'm very intrigued by him, and real quick, by the way, the Fantasy Film Projector is meant to look at running backs coming out of the draft that could provide fantasy value almost immediately. And, this is kind of what we all want. We all want to draft running backs that are immediately going to provide value, unless we're in dynasty leagues. And in that case, Samaje Perine might not be the best option because he's going to be more of a specialty back at the NFL, I believe. There's definitely a lot of speculation there. He could maybe be an every down back. But I think it's 50-50 whether or not he's going to do that based on his measurables and based on kind of all the talk on Twitter from, guys that I really respect who follow football incredibly well. So the reason I want to talk about Perine is because I think he can definitely provide value in terms of being a good goal line back. And we've seen so many good running backs who score a lot of touchdowns at the NFL level, who are good fantasy backs. We saw it with LeGarrette Blount last season. We've seen it, in the past. If you want to turn back the clock a little bit, with like Brandon Jacobs, he was always a pretty good goal line back. So everybody hates those backs who score touchdowns and snipe away from the lead back. But I think Perine is going to be somebody who is going to do that in droves at the NFL level for a variety of reasons. And we're going to kind of show you on this one play against Texas Tech why that is. So I'm just going to full screen it here, give you guys kind of an idea. It's at the 118 mark. And just for some context, Texas Tech, not a great defense. They were 5-2 coming in. I believe their offense was pretty good last year, but they kind of allowed a ton of rushing yards in this game. So this might not be the best example in terms of the competition level that Perine is going to deal with at the NFL level, but overall, I mean, this is still an impressive run right around the goal line. Kind of shows you what Perine can do. And let's just roll the tape right now and show you. Here they're in a single back formation. The fullbacks lined up to the right. They got one split end here on the left. I believe that's Westbrook, D.D. Westbrook, another really good player. Texas Tech got a lot of guys here in the box. They got 4 linebackers here. And yeah, let's just roll the tape and see what he does here. Okay, so he gets the ball here. Immediately takes a hit, keeps his balance, incredible balance. There's 3 guys right there, 3 guys trying to tackle him. And, he shrugs off one. And one of the main reasons he's able to do this is because he has incredibly good strength. He tested in the 98th percentile in bench press. I believe he had 33 reps, which is really impressive. One of the strongest backs in this class. And also he's got great balance, as you can tell, maintaining his equilibrium as one guy tries to tackle him. He's still on his feet. Now he's got 2 guys trying to wrap him up, one going low here, and the other one's hitting him up high, and we'll see what he does. Yeah, just kind of sidesteps, shuffles, and keeps his balance, is now upright where the other 2 backs are, basically falling down, almost trying to tackle him, and he just slides right into the end zone. It's plays like this that translate to the NFL, because around the goal line, it really comes down to how much you want it. Are you going to be able to just find a way to get in the end zone? And he's got those traits. He's got the strength and the balance to do just that. He also, if you want to talk about some potential outside of just being a goal line back, he has pretty big hands. His hands are about 10 inches. I think he's in the 91st percentile for that. So he might be a good pass catcher. He wasn't really asked to do a lot of that at Oklahoma. But that doesn't mean he can't do it. He was playing alongside Joe Mixon, who, another really good running back who's probably going to go near the first round, maybe early second, depending on what teams think of his, off the field issues. But he is a first round talent, I believe. So, you have potential there for him to be a receiver as well. He's probably not going to be, the most amazing route runner or anything, but somebody who can catch passes out of the backfield. And if he gets going downhill, that's where he's at his best. He can really roll people over. He's got pretty good speed. He's not a slow back. He's not a plotter. but he does take a little while to get going. So, if certain teams who run like a gap scheme are going to be more effective for Perine. So I expect him to, hopefully go maybe first day, probably second day. I'm not the best judge of that either. I haven't even done any mock drafts, but overall, a guy who could maybe get 7, 8 touchdowns, is his ceiling probably in maybe his first year, depending on where he goes. Obviously, that's a huge factor. So don't quote me on these projections. This is just looking at what he can do on the field, and regardless of what team drafts him. But yeah, he's got all the traits, and he's going to be a great goal line back in the NFL. I think it's almost a guarantee, which is really hard to say when you're looking at the draft. But he's got all the tools necessary to do that. So definitely take him, maybe a flyer on him in the late rounds of your redraft leagues, especially if you have a deep league with a lot of running backs, 14, 16 team leagues. He's going to probably provide value at some point in the season, maybe not immediately, but it's tough for running backs to score touchdowns at the NFL level. Defenses are really big. They're great at stopping teams on the goal line. So this guy has the tools to negate those great defenses, though. So definitely keep an eye on Samaje Perine, and we'll catch you next time. Hope you got some value out of this, and see you again soon.